Last week, Michael Chandler versus Paddy Pimblett was announced for UFC 314, which goes down in April, which prompted Michael Chandler to do an interview with ESPN's Brett Okamoto, as well as Ariel Helwani. And in these interviews, we're going to take a look at both of them in this video today. Michael Chandler is still delusionally holding out hope for a Conor McGregor fight. Yes, you heard that right. Now, his mindset has changed about waiting for Conor McGregor, but some of the things that he says are just downright delusional. And he's still praying for that fight, and he's trying to manifest that fight. And also throughout these interviews, he's kind of admitting he made a massive mistake sitting around and waiting for Conor McGregor. And now he's really doing a 180 with his career. We're going to break it down in this video. Do me a favor, guys. If you enjoy these types of videos, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. I would greatly appreciate it. Also, like this video. Now, we're going to start with Ariel Helwani for a second, because I truly need to give you guys a teaser for what we're about to get to later in this video. Listen to this. I'm just going to give you a small teaser because there's a lot to unpack in this video.
His road back to the UFC goes through me. It goes straight through Nashville, Tennessee, and Michael Chandler. We've got to finish the Ultimate Fighter 31. That is the UFC's sentiment. I think it's even his sentiment.
Conor McGregor's road back to the octagon comes through Nashville, Tennessee. I think it's Conor's sentiment. It's the UFC sentiment. Dude, this dude still has delusions of grandeur. He is never, ever going to get that fight, which I've been telling you guys. I literally lost track of the year. I believe the beginning of 2023. I think it was the beginning of 2023 I said that. Yeah, when it was originally announced for Tough. Tough finished in 2023. 2024, he was really begging for it for UFC 3. I'm losing track of the years. Yeah, I told you since the beginning of 2023. Now, I'm going to jump back in this interview because when we get to this interview here in a second, I gotta start up another clip from the very beginning. But I want to jump to the Brett Okamoto Michael Chandler interview first. I'm just going to let this clip speak for itself because this is truly embarrassing.
What does it mean that that's the date, June 29th?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the UFC is, the UFC is doing it how they are doing it, how they do it. And obviously we all know it's never 100% officially confirmed until, number one, we actually stepped in the octagon, but before that, and when the UFC comes out with it. But obviously my team has been in touch with the UFC and
hold on, I think I mixed up clips. I don't think this is the right Brett Okamoto interview. I mean, the horrible quality, I couldn't even tell the horrible quality. Well, let's listen to the rest of this.
Yeah, June 29th is what I'm preparing for. I'm leaving my family here in the next couple weeks to head down to Florida to get into fight camp, the fight camp that has been looming now for a year. And yeah, June 29th, we take this dude's head off.
It's only January 4th, man. You're going to leave the family and head to Florida? You're training for this thing for 6 months?
No, I mean, anyway.
Brett Okamoto, if that is him, I can't tell. It's so blurry. It's probably 480p at this point, is laughing in Chandler's face about him saying he's leaving his family in early January 2024 for a Conor McGregor fight. By the way, I intentionally put this clip here, but I just think that this is very important content. But I just wanted to throw this in there for the lulz. All right, you guys know this is one of my favorite Michael Chandler clips of all time. He left his family in January of 2024 for a mythical Conor McGregor fight at a mythical weight class. Let's get to the actual Brett Okamoto new interview. Okay, by the way, that interview, that clip you just saw was from January 4th or January 5th. It was uploaded of 2024, which is insane. So now we have the new Brett Okamoto interview with Michael Chandler, which is from a couple days ago. Let's start off with Brett Okamoto's, just amazing journalism, okay? The utmost professional here. Let's watch this. This is the very beginning of the interview. I'm at 0 seconds and I'm at 0:00. Let's listen.
What's up, guys? Brett Okamoto alongside UFC lightweight Michael Chandler, who we are 1 day removed from the announcement of his fight, UFC 314, Miami, Florida. He's taking on Paddy Pimblett. Michael, it's not like this fight came out of nowhere.
Look, I mess up all the time and make mistakes all the time, but there's so much to unpack here. First off, can we get this man a new camera? For the love of God, can we get this man a new camera? I just don't get it. You work for ESPN. You don't have money to get a new camera and get better quality. I understand your guest isn't always going to have pristine quality. The audio is absolute dog shit. It's clipping nonstop. I don't understand what's going on with this microphone. You can literally get a decent microphone for like $100, but you're working at ESPN. You can't shell out like $200 and get a, really premium microphone. Then on top of that, he doesn't remember who Michael Chandler is fighting. Look, guys, this is the nuance you get when I'm watching these interviews and unpacking them, okay? Look, he forgets who Chandler's fighting in the first 14 seconds. Look at this. Watch him look down, and then he mispronounces Paddy Pimblett's name. He forgets who he's fighting. Watch this.
Florida, he's taking on Paddy Pimblett. Michael, it's not like this fight came out of nowhere.
So, forgot who he was fighting. Horrible video quality, horrible audio quality. And I don't necessarily dislike Brett Okamoto, but come on, we got to do better than this. And it just stood out to me, so I figured I would point it out to you guys. Maybe I'm being too picky, but really drove me nuts. Let's jump ahead, okay? I don't want to spend too much time on Brett Okamoto's dog shit quality. Listen to this. This is one of the first answers from Michael Chandler. He realizes what a mistake he made waiting around for Conor McGregor. By the way, regardless of what happens in the Paddy Pimblett fight, Michael Chandler literally ruined his career or got his career ruined by Conor McGregor. But it's really fool me once, shame on you. That line, fool me twice, shame on me, or however it goes. Because Chandler knew and just proceeded to sit around forever waiting for Conor. But he's realized that that's a massive mistake now. Listen to this.
As much as I possibly can to stay in shape, eating clean, because I do want to bounce back from this last fight and have some great opportunities. And, I'm never waiting again. I want to be fast. I mean, I fought 6.
He's never waiting again. I want to be fast. Yeah, because when you sit out for damn near 3 years, again, I'm losing track of the time period because it's been so long. When you sit out for that period of time, then you come back and you hope that you're at the top of your game. You're just not going to be, which is a lot of people, including myself, which is why a lot of people, including myself, was critical of him for sitting out and begging for a red panty night. Meanwhile, Conor's off doing what Conor does. Okay? Well, let's continue with this clip.
6 fights in 13 months early in my career. Since I signed with the organization, the first 2 years I fought 4 or 5 fights, fight of the year, fight of the night. I mean, I'm an active guy. I like to stay active. My body responds well and can handle the brutalities of the sport. So,
and also not much to say here, but talk about cope. Well, I sat out for 3 years in my late 30s in the lightweight division, which everyone, well, not everyone, but people thought was a massive mistake. But man, I was active years ago. Coach would have put me in fourth quarter. We would have took state championship. All right. We would have took states. The dude sounded like Uncle Rico at this point. And it's even worse in a little bit.
It was a game time decision kind of, but I got the call. Hunter said April. I said, give me a second to think about it. I flew to Vegas the next day. Spent some time with the PI people. Did a couple little assessments, evaluations, sat in Hunter's office, sat down for an hour or two, and then we made the decision.
He negotiated a new deal. That's why I wanted to include that in there. He got a new deal with the UFC. Is that less? Is that more money? I don't know. Chandler's never going to say. He's kind of a bit of a UFC shill, so even if he got demoted in pay, he would still claim the UFC is the greatest person, they're the greatest people I've ever worked with, which, okay, whatever. But Chandler is now fighting Paddy Pimblett, who's a fringe top 15 guy. He hasn't won a fight in years. His last win is Tony Ferguson. And I get it, still a big fight. But at the end of the day, I mean, think about this. This dude was waiting around for a red panty night against Conor McGregor. He wasted precious years of his career. And now he's fighting an up-and-coming guy who's fringe top 15, who he may not even be able to beat at this point. And then he's going to be out of the top 15, or at least bare minimum at the very bottom of the top 15. So this is a must-win for Michael Chandler. Let's jump ahead. We have more. We have so much to check out in these interviews. There's so much to check out. Let's jump ahead. Look, I mean, this is just him shilling out for the UFC. And I just figured I'd highlight this because, man, this is so embarrassing, especially, and we don't know everything that went on, but they booked Chandler versus Conor. According to Chandler, they were giving him assurances that the fight was going to happen. Meanwhile, Dana did an interview, which I'm not going to include in this video because I've included it in countless other videos. Dana did an interview where he said he never believed that Conor McGregor was going to fight in 2024. He said that out of his own mouth, okay? It's not even up for interpretation. And Chandler's here, after having his career basically ruined, is now just shilling for the UFC. It's just embarrassing, man.
I definitely know a lot. I know a lot more than I'm letting on, and I'm very fortunate. And the reason I know a lot more than I'm letting on is because I am a reliable.
Hold up. I don't want to rewind this, but what did he just hold up? I never noticed that in the first time. Hold on, let's see. By the way, they're talking about the lightweight division in general. Brett Okamoto's asking about what's going on in the lightweight division. UFC doesn't tell Chandler anything.
Then I'm letting on, and I'm very fortunate. And the reason
Is that a Dremel? Is that a Dremel? Hold on, let me see if I can pause.
and I'm
very trying to pause this.
And
oh, okay, that's like some tripod of some sort. It almost looked like a Dremel for a second. That's some tripod, some camera mount he's holding up right there. What a weird still. But anyway, let's continue.
The reason I know a lot more than I'm letting on is because I am a reliable steel trap who thinks just as much about the whole picture and my promoters, my promotion, my bosses, my employers as much as I think about myself. And sometimes guys don't do that, and it always bites them in the bottom. So
I'm convinced this guy stares in the mirror and masturbates. Nobody can convince me otherwise. You cannot convince me that Michael Chandler doesn't do that. But let's jump ahead, okay? Because this guy has the audacity, after not winning a fight for years, after being super inactive, only having not even a recent win, but his last win's against Tony Ferguson. This dude is acting like he's a win away from a title shot, and a win over Paddy Pimblett at that. Listen to this. And also, he starts talking about how he wants to be active because he realized how much he messed up his UFC career.
like, hey, man, maybe you're just not good enough. There's the pain of, hey, this was probably your last shot. You might not ever get another shot. But this is the what have you done for me lately business. And the best thing I can do is stay active. The worst thing I can do is sit around and stew and say, okay, I'm going to wait till the summer.
I tried to tell you that for years. A lot of people did. But he's realized what a massive mistake that he's made. He teased fans all along the way, acting like a fight was going to happen when it wasn't. And now he's realizing he's damn near 40 years old. He wasted almost 3 years of his career. And now he's like, let me collect as many checks as I possibly can because I wasted time and money and athleticism as I'm aging on cocaine Conor, to put it lightly. Put it as Jeremy Stevens did.
Wait till the fall. No, I want to get right back in the mix. I want to be in exciting big fights to where I remind the UFC, I remind the fans, I remind myself, I remind the entire MMA community who I am and what I do and what it feels like when I step inside the octagon. So
what you do is cheat. The amount of cheating he did in that Charles Oliveira fight where he got dominated was just absolutely insane. Back of the head shot after back of the head shot, eye pokes, fence grabs. It might have been the most fouls in a UFC fight ever.
Fought in November. Now I'm going to fight again in April. I'm going to be fresh on everybody's mind going into the summer. And my conversations with the UFC have always been great. There's no doubt that we are in a mutually beneficial, symbiotic, win-win scenario. I do the best I can inside and outside of the octagon. They have done nothing but be 100% honest with me at all times, have come through with every single thing that they have said. And that still rings true to today. So you're always one fight away. When you're in that.
If Chandler beats Paddy Pimblett and gets a title shot, I'm done with the sport. I'm done with the sport. He was claiming title shot after Oliveira. He was claiming title shot if he fought Conor and beat him. Now he's claiming a title shot with a win over Paddy Pimblett, who literally lost to Jarrett Gordon. Now, that was a while ago, but if you get a title shot off of beating Paddy Pimblett in 2025, that is a complete and utter embarrassment to the organization and every fighter that fights in the lightweight division. But let's watch one more clip from the Brett Okamoto interview before we get to the Ariel Helwani interview. I thought this was particularly egregious. This man does an interview where he brags about who he lost to. I mean, he's literally collecting his participation trophies right now. That's what he's doing. Listen to this. This is humiliating.
It was ups and it's downs because there's a lot of different ways you could look at it. I mean, you could look at my record in the UFC and say, man, you're 2-4 in the UFC, but I have lost to Charles Oliveira, UFC champion. Dustin Poirier, interim champion, and who fought for the title now 3 times. Justin Gaethje, interim champion, 1 fight away from fighting for the title, and I think could win the title. Those are my 3 losses in the UFC. I am fighting first ballot Hall of Famers, some of the best to ever do it. Those are the guys who I have lost to.
So, give Michael Chandler his participation trophy. Yeah, man, I got finished by Charles Oliveira. And I fought Justin Gaethje to a decision. And I got finished by Dustin Poirier. Come on. What, we're bragging about losses now? I know Colby Covington's biggest career achievement is losing to Kamaru Usman. But we're bragging about losses? That's crazy. 2-4 in the UFC. I didn't fact check him, but I'm pretty sure that's accurate. He beat Dan Hooker, what? In 2020, I believe. UFC 257 off the top of my head. And then he beat Tony Ferguson, the dead corpse of Tony Ferguson. And we're hyping up, oh, well, I lost. I mean, I guarantee you, put me in the cage right now with Dustin Poirier. Put me in the cage with Charles Oliveira. Put me in the cage with Justin Gaethje. I'll lose to him too. Does that mean I get to brag about it? I don't think so. Let's jump ahead to the Ariel Helwani interview. Okay, you've already seen the teaser. We're going to get to the most delusional parts in a second when he starts really talking about the Conor McGregor fight and says something that I joked about a while ago. But let's just start with this. He's talking about, I got to stay relevant because he realized what a colossal mistake he made by sitting out. Listen to this.
Let's put me in a position because, as you said, there is a ton of things going on. Lightweight, featherweight, welterweight, all kinds of different rumors, all kinds of different matchups, all kinds of different things. And I want to fight a guy ASAP to get in the win column, do something spectacular in Miami, UFC 314, to keep my name in the mix.
He wants to be active. He wants to collect those checks because he lost 3 years damn near of earning potential sitting out and praying that he could sniff Conor's red panties. I'm glad he's at least come to this realization. I do give him credit for that. He's finally, this is a man who's realized I should have never sat out, which he admits here in a second. Okay, I think it's in the next clip. He talks about, I don't think he takes full credit for it, but he's like, yeah, some people don't think I should have sat out. Let's listen. Listen to this.
Are fighting for the vacant 145 title, and we welcome Ilia Topuria with open arms.
Does that mean we're looking, if all goes well, at a potentially quick turnaround for you?
All I want is quick turnarounds. Listen, I think I got a little bit of a reputation for a guy who likes to sit on the sidelines, because of the whole Conor situation. Never forget, I'm a man of my word. I signed my name to a contract that said I, Michael Chandler, will do the Ultimate Fighter 31 and then fight Conor McGregor. Did I wait too long? Yeah, in a lot of people's eyes.
Yeah, in a lot of people's eyes. In his eyes too. But you like the way he framed that? He realizes I wasted 3 years of earning potential when I had a much higher percentage chance of being successful at the top of the division. Now I got to try to collect as many checks as possible, as quickly as possible, to hopefully, earn some of that lost earnings. But it really doesn't make sense. That time is gone. You can't recapture it. So essentially, he's just going to show up for checks. It wouldn't shock me if Chandler just goes on like a 10-fight losing skid. But he's exciting. Let's keep him around. He's going to be on like a Tony Ferguson type losing streak. But we're going to keep him around because he's exciting. But let's continue.
But I'm the guy who came into the UFC in September of 2020, took a short notice backup opportunity in October, and then fought January, May, November, fought 5 fights in 26 months or whatever it was. I'm not a guy who sits on the sidelines. I fought 6 times in 13 months.
He's not a guy that sits on the sidelines. You're coping, talking about 2020 to 2022. It's 2025 right now. He's bragging about fighting in 2020 to 2022.
When I was in Bellator, I'm a guy who is extremely active. I live this sport every single day. So, yeah, I'm not afraid of a quick turnaround this summer with all the stuff that's happening.
He's not afraid of a quick turnaround, which I'm happy to hear. To be honest, I know I'm kind of shitting on Chandler here. Well, I am shitting on Chandler a bit. I'm happy that some type of switch flipped and now he wants to be active, but I just feel like it's a little bit too late. That's time that he can never get back. That's his athleticism and speed and reflexes and maybe diminished chin that he's lost over the past 3 years. I know he came back against Charles Oliveira. He got destroyed. I don't care what happened in the 5th round where he cheated nonstop. And it's like, man, it's sad because now he's like, I got to fight as quickly as possible, regardless of any injuries, because I don't have much time left in the sport. Like, imagine scrambling to, be able to compete when you sat around for 3 years for a guy you're never going to fight, and he's still holding out hope. He still thinks he's going to fight Conor. Listen to this.
Big opportunities and big fights.
In those conversations, Conor a part of them at all? Is it possible 2025 is the year?
Conor's always a part of it, man. I mean, it's going to be one of those deals where, I'm the name. His road back to the UFC goes through me. It goes straight through Nashville, Tennessee, and Michael Chandler. We've got to finish the Ultimate Fighter 31.
I need to know this genuinely. Down in the comments, let me know. Is there anyone who is clamoring for a finale to the Ultimate Fighter 31? Do you exist? I'm genuinely curious because Chandler thinks you exist. We got to finish the Ultimate Fighter 31.
That is the UFC's sentiment. I think it's even his sentiment. We've tweeted a little bit back and forth here and there. He said, I'm a man of my word. Well, if you're a man of your word, then there's only one guy that you're going to fight when you come back to the UFC, the guy who had a contract with your name on it, the guy who signed on the dotted line and still to this day has never missed weight and never pulled out of a fight.
He's essentially begging for Conor McGregor to come back and fight him, man. And look, I don't even think he believes this. He'd be better off insulting Conor McGregor. He'd be better off just going off about Conor McGregor. Because at this point, Chandler is saying, his road back to the UFC goes through Nashville, Tennessee. Michael Chandler has a higher probability of being raped by Conor McGregor than actually fighting him in the octagon. Okay? And I know that sounds crazy, but that's true if you ask me, in my opinion. Okay? But let's continue because there's more delusion. There's more delusion.
So, could be 2025. Could be this summer, could be this fall, could be this winter, could be 2026. I don't know.
Did you guys hear that? I know there's going to be people pissed in the comments, but I got to rewind this. Listen to this real quick.
Could be 2025, could be this summer, could be this fall, could be this winter, could be 2026. I don't.
As a joke, I believe this fight was never going to happen. As a joke, there's a thumbnail I did of a video of an interview of Michael Chandler in like middle of 2024 where the thumbnail says 2026 ? Dude literally just said, could be this summer, could be this fall, could be this winter, could be 2026. But with all criticism, okay, at least he's actually fighting, which I said the whole entire time. You can ask for the Conor McGregor fight. You can hope for the Conor McGregor fight, but don't sit out and waste your career while you're doing it. This whole video series, people know me now for calling out Chandler and talking about the UFC and Conor all the time. But they were selling wolf tickets to the fans. And Chandler was ruining his career, and I wanted to watch him fight because he is exciting. And look at Dustin Poirier. Dustin Poirier got flatlined. Don't want to pull Brett Okamoto there. Got flatlined by Justin Gaethje. One fight later, he was fighting for a title. Chandler's dream was to fight for a title. In a division where you have a dominant champion, it's easier to get a title shot. Chandler had 3 years of potentially getting a title shot, but instead sat out waiting to sniff Conor's jockstrap, essentially.
Don't know. All I know is, as you can see by the decisions that I'm making and the moves that I'm making, fought Charles Oliveira in November, and here we are just 3 months removed from that. And I'm in camp getting ready to fight Paddy Pimblett in April in Miami.
In your heart of hearts, what are you feeling now these days? Does it ever happen?
Heart of hearts is tough, man, because I think heart of hearts says that Conor is coming back at some point.
No. He does not believe that. I don't know what analysis to give over top of this right now other than just laugh. Heart of hearts, I believe Conor is coming back. He's going to come back to the UFC, and that road goes through Nashville, Tennessee. What would he say? Not C at the top. What did he say? Oh, I got one. I can't believe I forgot it. I got one dude on my mind. But, now he's got a blonde dude on his mind, which he said somewhere in these interviews. I'm not sure if it's in this, the rest of this. But listen to this.
But if I'm a betting man, if I'm using my brain, I wouldn't put money on it. But that's where I'm at today. Right now, obviously, I'm focused on a blonde dude from Liverpool. So I think my heart of heart says I'm not. My heart of heart says I'm not sure for sure, but Conor's got to come back to his first love. The one thing that
When I first watched this, when he said Conor's got to come back to his first love, I thought he was talking about him, because he does seem to have some, it seems like every interview, Michael Chandler has some type of homosexual rigmarole about Conor McGregor. Every single interview for the last 3 years. I did it before they were ever even scheduled to fight. I did a video discussing it. And it just seems like, oh yeah, he's got to come back to his first love, but he is talking about the UFC. Listen to this.
that has given him every single thing, every single shiny object that he is currently chasing and taking all these side quests and side jobs and all these different things, every single thing that he has can be tied back in some way or another to the UFC, the opportunity that they gave him, the push that they gave him. And does he want his legacy to be, yeah, my last fight, I broke my leg and I touted the greatest comeback in combat sports history. I fooled everybody for a couple of years and then signed on the dotted line to.
He didn't fool me. Don't you ever say everybody. He didn't fool me. I knew that motherfucker wasn't coming back ever.
Fight Michael Chandler and then pulled out of the fight, never to return again. I don't think he wants his legacy to be that. Then again, I haven't walked a mile in that man's shoes, so I'm not going to say what he is thinking. But my heart of heart says he's coming back at some point. But if I was a betting man, I ain't putting money on it.
Yeah, I wouldn't put money on it either, Chandler. Don't hold your breath. What I think Chandler's doing here, as he stares into the camera, he's still hoping and praying, even if he's 45 years old, he gets a fight with Conor McGregor and it will make him whole again, because he knows what a mistake it was sitting and waiting around while everybody, or not everybody, but a large portion at a certain point started to say, Chandler, move on. And he's hoping and praying he can get that fight to be made like he feels whole again, even though he's probably not going to get pay-per-view points for a Conor McGregor fight. And as far as, Conor's got to come back for his legacy, this and that, Conor and the Conor McGregor fanboys will always hype him up. But his legacy is a dude who is a cokehead, cheating on his wife, and a civilly liable sexual offender. That's his legacy, okay? And Chandler's still begging to fight with this guy and begging to, help this guy make money, essentially. And it's just, give it up. All right. I wish he would just say, look, I'm not going to talk about Conor anymore. Conor's a bitch. He doesn't want to fight me. I don't want to talk about him. I do not want to talk about him unless he gets his candy ass back in the octagon. So I think it's crazy that he's still delusionally holding on to hope that the Conor McGregor fight may eventually come to fruition. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments. I'll link both interviews down in the description. Go check them out in their entirety if you want to sit through Michael Chandler talking for about, 50 minutes. But like the video, subscribe to the channel, and thank you so much for watching.